Well, hello everyone. Here, show you right here is the point in question that concern the matter, and talking about for suggestions and your suggestions and any source of feedback that we might get, and I know that seems to take a lot more time to where that you think that the conversation is on average is only going to take about maybe 10 or 15 minutes, especially if it's fixing any sorts of technical problems or some sort. But let's just say that if somebody would you'll recommend to her that that they like what you do, but then maybe there's going to be some corrections or something that else that they want to see happening. So sometimes it seems like it's expected like that, to see that to where that you're going to have somebody else proofreading or looking at your work, and then they're going to want to make a suggestion. So it really, is that really considered to be normal? To where you got somebody that's going to post a suggestion, and yeah, that we all know that whenever we're watching television or maybe watching a movie or something like that, that nowadays that they got all this completing the customer satisfaction survey and all that other stuff that you do one or two, that whenever somebody posts a comment, that a lot of times back in early 1985 that they allow it to where that after you watched a show on a channel on the local stations, and allow it to those watchers will be able to post a comment about what they thought about the program, about that station that came on television. But talking about the source of feedback, I'm like, at the time it seems like that a lot of this feedback just uses a lot more time. And if we're talking about other people, other viewers who are looking at something and looking at maybe like a newsletter or some sort, that this person is going to probably say that that something of what they thought about it, and then he or she is going to want to post. You're going to want to maybe write about 2 or 3 paragraphs about what they thought about something. And sometimes it seems like that, according to what the directions or according to what you understood, so pick a subject of the matter. Pick a subject, and let's just say if the subject were to be about, the point in question, to where if there's something that you want to see happening within 3 years from now, and then what's the reason why, and then you want to make a point to where that what's going on with the situation. For the step 1 or 2 or 3 process about what you're planning on doing, maybe within the next 10 hours or so, that you're going to go ahead and write a document, and then maybe explain to everybody about this is what's going to be going on. But still, though, that how many of us will maybe want to where that whenever you're going to be sitting at this rocking chair, and this is supposed to be an example right here of a rocking chair, by the way. Rocking chair right here, and whenever you rock, it seems like is that kind of relax your mind whenever you're rocking. But I know that's like a little rocking chair that my parents had for me to sit on, watching TV, and sometimes anybody say that really that how many of us will maybe want to where that are you really embarrassed? Really, are you really just embarrassed whenever situations like that come up to where that you don't have no shoes and socks on, and maybe in your pajamas, and then somebody somebody wants to talk to you about something, and usually whenever you're at work or whenever you're in class, that you want to be seen maybe wearing a special tie or a dress shirt or maybe some pants, maybe blue jeans or something like that. But if you're going to be relaxed or something like that, and if anybody will want to her, that what's your first impression that somebody sees you maybe in the bathtub? It's like if you're taking a bath or a shower, and then you don't really want people really. I'm like but still the embarrassing times to where that you don't want somebody looking at you, especially if you're trying to have your own personal private time, and one of those could be is to where that that if you're going to be in your bedroom, and maybe that in your bedroom, and maybe if you're not feeling very well, or maybe something else, something to where you're going through a rough time. Maybe if you got blanket, if you got blanket covering you, or maybe that if you got a blanket over you, and then all tucked into your bed with the blanket, and then or sitting at the chair like this, and this is supposed to be like a little study area right here. But talk about for point in question. Whenever somebody sees something, it seems like, yeah, even whenever I'm working on something, you have right here is a pen right here. And if anybody were to ask me about Amazon, the Amazon store, but at the time, it seems like whenever I start working on something, I notice that a lot of times too, to where that, yeah, that there seems to be a lot more work on order, because whenever I'm working on something, and somebody that might even suggest something else, and then they're going to maybe mention something else too, and at the time that, let's just say that the meeting was only supposed to last for about maybe 90 minutes or something like that, 90 minutes, and then the things that somebody wants to talk about, but still that the point in question, to where if I were to be what you call the speaker, if I were to be known as like the host here for the meeting, and then I come at a situation to where that I'm talking about something for about maybe 3 or 4 minutes, maybe only about maybe a minute and a half. I say a few words about something, about a certain topic, and by the time somebody has a better understanding about what I'm talking about, and then they want to interrupt me, he or she wants to interrupt me and ask me a question, and then somebody else wants to ask a question. So it seems like that sometimes that you just want to say that, okay, everybody, let me spin it, let me finish, okay, let me finish what I was going to say. Because sometimes it seems like that if you're going to have a group of people, about maybe 11 other people who are listening, that might even say that, if I don't say something now, I'm going to maybe forget it later on, or it's going to slip my mind. Really, I mean, it happens almost all the time. Yeah, I'm sure we've all been there, to where that anything that we want to discuss during a meeting, or maybe during a presentation, that you're going to maybe forget all what you want to ask, or you're going to maybe forget, or something that slips your mind. But at the time, it seems like some may even say that that's how that maybe that you're able to learn from other people, is that I say, yeah, well, if they don't speak up now, then they may feel like they're not going to be able to speak up later on. But this right here is supposed to be like for 1985 right here. This is supposed to be like presented as like if it was an actual painting based on from back in 1985. And this is this will be right here as an example of me sitting at the rocking chair right there. But really, that I seem to be very curious, and I know that if anybody say whenever you're young you're going to be curious about something. And, looking at some of those old photographs, I was like also wondering too, having options to zoom in and zoom out, and looking at those newspapers, looking at that magazine, that rack, sitting right next to me, back when I was very young, looking at that, and sometimes that just want to know, I'm like, yeah, what did those newspapers really say? And some of them that talked about, I guess, science exploration, and then some of them, science fiction, and other sorts of reading catalogs that we had back then also. But still, though, that I know that looking at some of those newspapers, that if anybody warns us to where that if you could pick a topic of what to write about, and maybe that somebody else that would find what was presented, and then they would read it, and then at first they would be confused about a lot of things. But still, that it seems like a lot of times the most important topic of the question goes by is to where that you think that something is only going to take about maybe 10 or 15 minutes of your time whenever you start talking about it, and then sometimes it can maybe last up to 3 hours. And how many of us will maybe say that 3 hours seems to be too much time really to be talking about one subject and maybe one topic of the matter? But let's just say, though, that a have right here is for Amazon. So if anybody were to ask me, is that I you used to order stuff even over the phone, but having an account too, and besides the Department of Treasury, that I can remember that with my with the accounts, that that, yeah, if you thought about one of these days being a salesperson, getting into marketing, or maybe you're writing a book or something, or maybe doing something that so far as your career goes, and then like you asked me as to where that if you want to go ahead and try to maybe sell on one of those websites, such as if it's eBay or if it's Amazon or some internet site like that. And I'm like, well, I didn't get introduced to Amazon until early of 2016. Until 2016, I ordered a book, but I can remember that going, that there was a book that I wanted to buy, and that I did not have an account during the time, so it seemed like that if you're going to have if you're going to have an account, like if you're going to a Visa, if you're going to have a credit card Visa, that chances are that having that gives you that ability to where you can order stuff online. But still, though, that you're likely also learn to where that those the Visa, that has to be, there are going to be ground rules about that and policies about that. But if anybody will warn to her that nowadays, I don't know too much all that, and not about your prescriptions. I'm like, if you're going to be ordering anything from the pharmacy online, using a credit card just to buy your medicine, or maybe that's something that you need, maybe for the meeting, they want you to come to the meeting dressed in like a bow tie with the dress shirt or something like that. You can order those to the store also. So they got all this online stuff, but still, though, that whenever you're going to be placing any orders, it seems like that somebody's going to make a point about something, somebody's going to ask the question, and then they want to go ahead and take credit for that, the information that they understood and what they collected also. So it seems like, that what gets the attention for most of these readers and most of these anybody that if they're gonna try something out, and then whenever you try something out or discover something, it seems like a number of things are going through your mind, and one of those is going to be like, and sometimes it seems like that you find a lot more in that experiment. If you experiment around with something, you're going to find a lot more results in that experiment. That's my question too. That, whenever somebody looks at your work, and then they're going to find a lot of results in that experiment that you were working on. Some of it is confusing, and some of it could be understanding, but still, that's my question of the topic of the matter. That why is it that there's a lot more results and maybe a lot more concerns compared to whenever you started. So let's just say if you started about maybe 11 days ago, and now you're getting a lot more results, and but still that those results are going to say that you got to go back and change something or update something, or before that this item, before it's published to the final result, that we want you to go back and correct something. So proofreading. So that as a kid, that you always wanted to where that it would be kind of neat to be able to put one of these newspapers together yourself and actually talk about something about what you experienced. But sometimes it seems like that you gotta deal with that other people who readers who want to provide their own feedback. And so I guess the television station is not just about me necessarily. So if anybody if you're going to have a remote control to the TV, even to watch the Smurfs program or something, then you're going to have it to where somebody's going to provide feedback, and with that feedback that they want you to respond to that feedback. And so it seems like that good communication with the mind and the brain. How are people going to learn about each one another if you don't ask questions, if you don't make the points about something, if you don't come up with any solutions? So how is it that you're able to bond with a work in progress if somebody just does not do their part, as to where that they're going to ask a question? But I tell you one thing, that seems like it takes more time, and I do wonder too that why is it that sometimes that seems to take a lot more time, because it does take more time. That whenever I'm working on something, that I try to get through the discussion within about 5 minutes, but still though that somebody that still does not understand something, but still that it seems like it's all about is toward that you see progress or do you see no, there ain't no progress, there's delays. But still though that talk about for Amazon, because I know back whenever I was a kid, that you used to if you see something on TV that you want to order or something, but still that having access to a bookstore, you're having access to an account, and that was another reason why I wanted to do this, was talk about like a job. And so I know that if anybody will want to wear that this job though, that it may this job may only pay you about maybe 4 times a year. And so let's just say on average about maybe 4 times a year that you're going to maybe see some credits and maybe some awarding credit, especially if you're going to be opening up an account, to how to transfer money and how to receive the benefits. But still though that talking about the online accounts and online shopping, that if we could use it as example to where that just like putting coins into a piggy bank, that you're also one or two that if you're trying to guide somebody, teach somebody about how it works, and then they're going to ask the question, but then also it's like, well, how can I know more about this other person? I didn't get introduced to it until I was at least, until I was at least 31 is when I was introduced to it. Back during this time, back when I was a year old, I could probably say that, do you remember your very first time to whenever you were introduced to something? Do you remember whenever you were first introduced to the wallet or the purse? And like we say, is that supposed to be a joke or a statement? Because it sounds like a joke. Do you remember whenever you first seen a calculator? A calculator? Yeah, one of these little devices right there that helps you count your money. Helps you count for what you're doing in the math and but and subtraction. It is budgeting. But anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. It's like talking about the understanding about accounts through Amazon, and as well as understanding about the thoughts and point in question. But I say for the readers.